We are going to have now a fireside chat with Lou Kerner, who will be leading the chat. Lou, as many of you probably know, is an expert in this crypto world and is a thought leader and highly respected within the industry. So we are honored to have Lou here today to lead the next discussion regarding 7 thoughts on crypto. So without further ado, please welcome Lou Kerner.
Okay, thanks. And let's see, there it is. Okay, it's working. Okay, terrific. Do I get to see the slides? Okay, got to come up here to see the slides. So it is incredibly great to be here. I've lived in New York for 24 years, born and raised Angelino. Went to UCLA. It's incredible to be back here and talking about crypto. 7 weeks ago, Howard called me and he said, we just decided today we're going to have a conference on ICOs, and here we are 7 weeks later. Oh my God, what a great job he's done. You know, thanks Howard, the whole team is incredible. And I'm here to give a talk. It's called 7 Thoughts on Crypto. And just real quick, by way of background, first part of my career, I was an equity analyst at Goldman Sachs, following media companies, and I left that when Idea Lab called me up and offered me to be. I was the 55th CEO in the Idea Lab incubator. It's great to see Larry Gross from Idea Lab here today. And I ran another company, and then I angel invested, and eventually I ended up starting a fund in January of 2012. And I was a fund, and when you're doing funds, you know, you're always attracted to shiny objects. And somebody called me, a good friend of mine, in June of 2013, said, what do you think of Bitcoin? And I said, I think it's incredibly stupid. And he says, really? He says, how much about it do you know? And I go, nothing. And so he said, well, why don't you get smart on it? So when I want to get smart on something, one of the 2 things I do is I hold conference calls with the smartest people in the world, and I have them teach me. And I get, you know, audiences on the calls. And so I had a call in June of 2013 with Barry Silbert from DCG and Chris Larson from Ripple and Marco Santori, who's now with Cooley and just wrote the SAFT. And it was a great call, and I've done over 50 of these calls over the last 7 years. It was the only call that the Wall Street Journal live blogged, and they started the live blog by saying, we're on a conference call being held by Lou Kerner, Wall Street's Bitcoin expert. And so I became. I knew nothing. And I describe the next 9 months. I spent about 20% of my time on Bitcoin and trying to understand it. I'm a domainer. I bought bitcoinwallet.com. That worked out well. I made a small investment in a company that didn't work out so well called ChangeTip. Great company, too early. And after about 9 months of literally, I looked at it, and I looked at it, and I looked at it, and I never saw it. And fast forward in June of this year, not too long ago, I'm going, this ICO thing might be a thing. And so I held a conference call with Bancor and Tezos and Olaf from Polychain Capital. And on that conference call, Olaf said something, and I saw the light. And that was a little more than 4 months ago, and I have been manic ever since, having seen the light, having seen what's going to happen. And the other thing that I do when I want to learn is I write. And so I feverishly started writing and writing and writing and learning. That's how I learn. And it's just the densest thing ever. And I'm writing, I'm writing, I'm writing, I'm writing. And after 6 weeks of writing, I get an email from Medium. And they say, congratulations, you're a top 50 writer on crypto on Medium. I'm like, really? Didn't know that was a thing. And so I looked, and I was 48th. And that's great. And so now I had a metric. And now 3 months later, today I'm number 4. And I continue to write, continue to try and figure out what's going on. And in all of this writing, I've written one thought piece called 7 Thoughts on Crypto. I stopped, I got a breath, I said, okay, after 3 months, what have I learned? And this presentation is just, you know, that Medium post as a presentation. And so the first thing that I learned is that, you know, nobody knows anything, right? That's where we are. This is like a Cambrian explosion 450 million years ago. There was no life, and now, you know, and then the Cambrian explosion happened, and you had all of these, you know, immense number of new life forms, you know, like all of a sudden came into being, and most of them died out, but the ones that were left were epic. And that's kind of where we are today. It just, boom, the crypto thing, you know, Cambrian explosion just happened. And we're getting all these amazing new companies, but at the end of the day, really, nobody knows anything. Everybody's learning together. The second thing is, and unfortunately, these are supposed to come out one by one. They're supposed to be animated, but I guess it's not. So in any case, the second point is, you know, when I first got into Bitcoin, I was like, this is, you know, and I looked at it and I looked at it, I said, look, this is just a confidence game, right? This is just, you know, there has to be another guy who's dumber than the guy before who's willing to pay more for it to continue to go up. And then, you know, one of the things that I realized, Chris Bernisky, who's one of the smartest guys in this space, he told me, and it's like, oh my God, he's right. Everything is a confidence game. Every asset. Facebook is a confidence game. It's got a massive PE because people have confidence in it. And, you know, at some point down the future, they might not, but Bitcoin is nothing but a confidence game. But oh my God, what an incredible confidence game. And I think, you know, we're at the very, very beginning of it. And one of the other points that I made in the second point in the story is, as amazing as I think utility tokens are, that, you know, utility tokens are going to have a place. I'm going to talk about them a little bit later too, but security tokens are going to be, you know, everything that's private should be, you know, every private share should be a security share, right? You can get a global investor base and you can be liquid. And so, you know, this is going to happen over time. That's why Howard and I are friends, because that's what the business that he's in. And so he's totally right to be focusing his business on that. And so the third thing is, what? The third thing is, and this is, you know, so most people in the room already know this, is, you know, blockchain is kind of, you know, is trust. Right? For the first time in history now, we can actually trust people and to do what they're going to do because it's going to be a smart contract, it's going to be there, and it's immutable, and trust. All of a sudden now trust can be scalable, and trust doesn't have to come from the man. It can come from an algorithm. And again, you know, where we are, like blockchain is, you know, blockchain, but, you know, just where we are too, the thing at the bottom, we think about blockchain. Blockchain is a serial thing. You have block 1, block 2, block 3. The thing at the bottom it was in a company called IOTA white paper that I read, and what's that? That's called a DAG. A DAG, a directed acyclic graph, a DAG, instead of 1 by 1 by 1, which is slow, a DAG, you can get, you know, thousands all at the same time, and through something called gossip, you can get consensus, and so it can be much faster. So I think DAGs are a thing. Who knows? It's early, but, you know, it's just so dense. So the next thing, right, the biggest thing is decentralization, right? Now, decentralization, and actually, I got this line from Michael Jones. He said it on a conference call that I held, and I've co-opted it, is decentralization is now the lens that I look through everything, right? What can be decentralized? You know, is this the right thing to be decentralized? And you know, not everything can be decentralized, but a lot of things can be decentralized. A lot of things will be decentralized. And when I thought, okay, what are going to be the first things that are going to be decentralized? And so, you know, I looked, I said, well, you know, it seems to me that the first thing to be decentralized might be the thing that, where the man in the middle is making the most amount of money. So if you take a look at, so, again, this is supposed to be animation. Well, this is supposed to be animation. But the second most thing, the second highest profit margin of any business is investment managers. I'm a VC. This is right, I'm gonna be decentralized, right? So, you know, this is, yeah, you know, it's funny that it's not animated. So, decentralization, right, you know, so this is, you know, I think a major point, right? Is crypto in a bubble? Is crypto in a bubble? I'm so sick of hearing that question. So yes, I believe crypto is in a bubble, but I believe, so what? So if it's not a bubble, then what is it? Okay, I'm going to tell you what I think it is. Okay, well first, you have to appreciate that this is how we think as humans. We think linearly. We think things are going to be huge tomorrow, and we get all excited and all hyped, and then when it's not huge tomorrow because it's actually an S-curve, you know, like with the internet, we got all excited, oh my God, and then it was like, oh, you know, actually the internet's not a thing, right? And it turns out that there's actually a name for this, and it's called Amari's Law. And he was a professor in the 70s. He coined the Amari. He was a professor at Stanford. And Amari's law is that the impact of all great technological change is overestimated in the short run and underestimated in the long run. And that's one of the reasons why we get a bubble. And so if it's not a bubble, then what is it? Well, here's what I think it is, okay? Let's look at Amazon, okay? So the first couple years of Amazon, it was up 70x in 2 years, 70x in 2 years. A lot of people looked at that and said, oh my God, that's a bubble. And in fact, the next 2 years, if you just take that chart and you just extend it on for 2 more years, you get a crash. Amazon, arguably the greatest company in the history of the world, was down more than 95%. And you look at that chart and you go, oh my God, that was a bubble and that was a crash. But now that we actually have the advantage of having more context, and we take that chart and we extend that chart out another 16 years, what you see is it wasn't a bubble and a crash. It was just a little blip, right? It was just a little blip. And if you believe, like I believe in my core, that where we're going, that we're blockchain plus cryptocurrency is going to enable decentralization, and decentralization in 20 years is going to have that kind of impact. I actually believe that the impact of this is going to be greater than the impact of the internet. It's not going to happen overnight, but you know, today actually, you know, if I ask people all the time when I'm talking to them one-on-one trying to get this, what percentage of sales of all retail sales do you think are internet, right? Come up with a number. The real, in your head, right? The real number is 8%. Right? 20 years later, we're still only at 8% of retail sales being online. So we're still in the early days of the internet. You know, I've got other points, but I want to spend time with Mike now. But the incredible, exciting thing, what I'm trying to spend all my time on, are the big macro issues that we need to address as an industry that are going to get us to that incredible place that, you know, I think that this industry, that decentralization and cryptocurrency and blockchain are going to get us in 20 years. So thank you very much.